This was Kamala Harris last night. Pretty hysterical. So her door knocking looked like this.
Hey,
oh, you want to do the door knock?
Yeah, come on. Okay. Here, I'm gonna.
I had your hat on. The Penn State game in front of 111,000 people on day Saturday.
Okay, so you see what happened is they met her. She came up there to go door knock at this fake little setup door knock thing. And then they actually met her out front. So she walks up to them and they're like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. She's like, I didn't get to knock on your door. They're like, oh, really? Let's go back inside so that I can go knock on your door so we can get photos so that they can see me knocking on your door, because these nice people wanted to just show up and meet her outside. That wasn't really what the photo op was for. Can you go back inside, please, so that this can look better for us? So here are the final numbers from Atlas polls that dropped in, saying in the final Atlas poll before the election, the gap between Trump and Harris has narrowed, but Trump is still up 1.1%. And so the numbers are looking good. Jill Stein is still included in these polls. And Atlas Intel, according to some people, was very accurate in 2000. Numbers are looking good, but we're not resting on our laurels at all. That is way too close for comfort. Should be up by 60 points. What did Hillary say? Why am I up not by 60 points? She was so upset about it. It's because you're a terrible candidate. So as we see, problems in Pennsylvania. The Department of State is in contact with county officials in Cambria County. Voters are continuing to vote by paper ballot. The machines must have erred in accordance with normal operations today, while the county resolves the issue with in-precinct scanning. We're working with the county to resolve this technical matter and we remain committed to ensuring a free, fair, safe, and secure election. So Pennsylvania problems afoot. Here's what they're posting about. If you haven't returned your ballot yet, you got some options. All right. So a bunch of other posts there from them, but the big official notice is about Cambria County. So if you're in Pennsylvania, that's what's happening there. Now, the FBI issues a new alert on the eve of the election, telling us that we've got a new warning. And here's what they published on their website. Said from Washington, FBI's National Press Office saying, since our statement on Friday, where they said the Russians were up to no good, started making trouble in the neighborhood, the IC has been observing foreign adversaries, particularly Russia, conducting additional influence operations intended to undermine public confidence in the integrity of U.S. elections, which they've already ruined. The Russians didn't need to do anything. We have Jocelyn Benson. Hello. And Adrian Fontes. They're doing a great job. And Jenna Griswold posts passwords to the BIOS on the internet. So you don't need much more than that. And they want to stoke divisions among Americans. No, that's Kamala Harris and MSNBC. The intelligence community and the FBI and the CIA, let's not be clear. Let's not be mince words about this. Okay. They created a fake propaganda letter in 2020 to elect Joe Biden in the first place. The intelligence community expects these activities will intensify through Election Day. That's the day. Okay. And in the coming weeks, and that foreign influence narratives will focus on swing states. This is from your FBI Director of National Intelligence and CISA. Now, Russia is the most active threat. It's not Jocelyn Benson or Jenna Griswold. Influence actors linked to Russia in particular are manufacturing videos and creating fake articles to undermine the legitimacy of the election. Okay. How? Let's see. Instill fear in voters regarding the election process, which is a joke, as we know. Suggest Americans are using violence against each other due to political preferences. Judging from information available to us. Now, these efforts risk inciting violence, including against election officials, which we never condone. We anticipate that Russian actors will release additional manufactured content with these themes through Election Day and in the days and weeks after the polls close. So they're almost setting the table so that certain narratives and themes that pop up will be discredited before they're evident. The intelligence community assesses that Russian influence actors recently posted and amplified an article falsely claiming that U.S. officials across swing states plan to orchestrate election fraud using a range of tactics like ballot stuffing and cyber attacks. All right. So why can't you just read that and then just come to your own conclusions and say that sounds far-fetched? Russian influence actors also manufactured and amplified a recent video that falsely depicted an interview with an individual claiming election fraud in Arizona. which involved creating fake overseas ballots and changing voter rolls to favor Kamala Harris. The Arizona Secretary of State has already refuted the video's claims as false. That's okay, but the Arizona Secretary of State is not a credible person. He's a partisan hack, just like the rest of the secretaries, just like Jenna, just like Jocelyn. So we don't really care. You guys have wrecked your own credibility. Okay, Arizona's had a lot of problems these last 2 election cycles. In 2022, it was a joke. Machines were broken the day of, and there were, in my opinion, cover-ups of the true problems at the trial. Same thing in 2020. Now we've got a ballot problem in Arizona of 210,000 people. We don't even know their full citizenship status yet. It's not credible. He can say whatever he wants to say, but we don't have to believe it. Iran also remains a significant foreign influence threat to the U.S. elections. As noted in a prior update, we've assessed that Iran has conducted malicious cyber activities to compromise Trump's campaign, and the FBI's done that too. Iranian influence actors may also seek to create fake media content intended to suppress voting or stoke violence. All right, as they've done in prior election cycles. You remember all the Iranian threats last time? We previously reported that Iran also remains determined to seek revenge against U.S. officials for eliminating Soleimani, and it's repeatedly highlighted Trump. And did they shoot him, or was that Matthew Crooks? Did Iran set up shop to try to shoot him on a golf course, or was that Ryan Ruth, who wasn't traveling back and forth to Iran? He was going to Ukraine. In light of continued influence efforts by foreign adversaries and the increasing volume of inauthentic content online, inauthentic content. It's the whole mainstream media they're talking about. CISA recommends voters seeking out information from trusted sources, in particular, local election officials like Stephen Richer and Bill Onesie Twosie Gates. The FBI and CISA encourage campaigns to send us information. If you know anything, let us know. That's our FBI. All right, so if there's any bad info that comes out that the FBI doesn't like, they'll just blame Iran and Russia, and we're waiting for it. So can't wait to see what it is. And they did this last time. Remember, Trump won. They said that Hillary had already had her computer scientist unveil a secret hacker connection between Trump and Russia. Trump won, and he was dogged the entire time by a fake Russian collusion thing. Same thing happening with Iran. Who knows where else they'll go with it. So that's happening right now. We'll keep our eye on it. Now, meanwhile, in Colorado, leaky Jenna Griswold and her password problem were in court, and we have a great X thread courtesy of @AshInAmerica, who was there and is reporting on what happened inside the courtroom where recordings were not allowed. It was live streamed, but you were not able to record anything, and so I do not believe there are any recordings available. But we have the very next best thing, courtesy of Ash, who was there and is giving us the chronicles of what happened. We're in Colorado, in the Jenna Griswold leaky password case. Libertarian Party suing Jenna, largely to invalidate all of the machines. There's a little bit of a delay in the court proceedings. Everybody's twiddling their thumbs there, sitting in the courtroom waiting for the judge. Door bursts open. All rise. Oh, judge comes in, says, okay, first order of business, everybody. Now, in the courtroom, our observation limit has been reached. We are now packed in here, so nobody else is coming in, says the judge. Now, she's reading her order for the courtroom conduct now. There, well, you know, about outbursts. And, oh, don't share it. Okay. Now, where do we begin here? Your Honor, we have an emergency motion to intervene. Thank you, Mr. Justice. Says, petitioners, having no objection, respondents object. So the government objects to this guy coming in. They say, he can't come in. This is just a generalized grievance now. So Mr. Justice, he's trying to insert himself into this case. Remember, the Libertarian Party is suing Jenna, saying that the machines are invalidated because they have to go through logic and accuracy and certifications and testing and validations. And there's a trusted build of the software. And then they put it on the machine. And then when you go in there and you start changing passwords and checking logs and doing a bunch of things, you're now manipulating the system. So you have to have a retrusted build because you just changed something. It's a trusted build without changing it. Once you change it, it's not trusted anymore. So then you have to have an actual process for creating a new build, image it back onto the machines, go through logic and all that stuff. And Jenna didn't. She just deployed overnight with the help of the governor. They said they had air assets, whatever that means. And they updated all the passwords on all the machines, touched all of them without any opportunity for the Republican Party to even file a lawsuit or object or anything. So libertarians sue. Now, this guy is wanting to intervene. So he says, Mr. Justice is speaking. Your Honor, this is why I'm here today. I'm intervening as an elector, and I'm asking for a different remedy here to solve this rather than throwing the machines out. The judge says, I've reviewed rules 24A2 here, and I've reviewed your emergency verified petition to intervene here. And the court notes that on page 8 of 9, Mr. Justice, the intervener requests that the Secretary of State, Jenna, so this guy wants Jenna, to direct the clerks to conduct a specific analysis prior to certification of the election following a hand count. Okay, so the Libertarian Party wants something. This guy wants something different. Now, the court notes that Mr. Justice's remedy is different than the Libertarian Party and says the respondent argued against the requested remedy, citing risk limiting audit. So they say, so the government comes back and says, we don't need you to intervene here. We don't need any of these remedies, Your Honor. They're all bad because we're just going to do an audit and we're going to show you there were no problems here. Judge says, oh, that makes sense to me. Mr. Justice, your motion to intervene is denied. So he does not come in. So then Fielder asks if Clay Parikh can listen as an expert witness. The Libertarian Party lawyers, remember Clay Parikh, he was the guy who testified in the Maricopa County case, says, can he listen in, Your Honor? We're going to certify him as an expert witness, and so he'll be allowed to listen to the testimony because we're going to ask him to comment on it. May we have him listen in? Because the courtroom might be full. Can he come in, listen, or listen in online? The government, Jenna's office, Your Honor, we object. We don't think Clay Parikh is an expert at all, actually. So we're not going to qualify him as an expert. It's okay if he wants to listen, but we don't think he's qualified at all. So then they bring in the Attorney General's office. Jenna can't handle it on her own, so she brings in the AG for some backup. And a paralegal from the AG's office is also present. The three attorneys representing the Secretary of State, says Ash in America reporting. And by the way, Ash is a writer, host, activist. She's a victor, obviously. Says, be unconquerable. Amazing. Make sure you're following her at Ash in America on X. Says the three attorneys representing the Secretary of State are entirely from the AG's office. Reminder that Chris Beal, who's Jenna's little B, Chris B, he's Jenna's little B, and he just doing her work for her because she can't do it herself. Reminder that he was outside counsel for the Secretary of State from the AG's office before he became the Deputy Secretary of State. Okay, so it's one big, disgusting, incestuous relationship. Now, Ash says, court allows Parikh plus the respondent witnesses, Rudy and Edelman, from the Secretary of State's office to watch via WebEx. So now all these people are piling in. So then the Libertarian Party is making their argument. He's making opening remarks now. He says, Your Honor, let me go through this list. I'm showing you this one, this one, and this one. And as you can see, it's 63 of 64 counties across Colorado. This is unprecedented, meaning I haven't found any precedent for what has happened here, like ever at all, never. Citing the specific statutes, you can read the complaint at that link. We read the full complaint here from the Libertarian Party. It was great. Now, Ash says, now we're not really talking about certification. Okay, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about decommissioning the breached devices. When you went in, you manipulated them. They say we're talking about a fair and accurate vote count. Now, any device that is subject to a live password breach implicates the devices in the county more broadly. And so this is a major security problem, and we're talking about decommissioning all of these machines. But now I also, in addition to that, there were technical problems. But in addition, I want to talk about what Jenna did in the aftermath of this. Okay, not only was there a problem, but they tried to cover it up, Your Honor. They didn't reveal this to the clerk or to the public until after the story broke. And so what they've done is even worse. Then the government comes up and says, Your Honor, this is a bunch of red herring nonsense. Quite frankly, Your Honor, the issue is no one takes more seriously than the secretary and the deputy secretary. Okay, we've been on this from the beginning. Says the passwords are obsolete anyways. They've been changed. Yeah, you went to all the machines and changed them. So our position is that the Secretary of State is in strict compliance with the rules that were promulgated by the Secretary of State. Okay, she says, I'm not kidding. She literally said that, which is insane. Okay, because Jenna passed her rules for herself and then executed the rules. And then they said in court that Jenna is in strict compliance with the rules that were promulgated by Jenna. In court, they're telling a judge, she followed the rules. Oh, she followed the rules. She just made the rules like 2 days ago. Didn't notify anybody about it at all. Just did it with the governor. New rule. They fixed the passwords. Then she goes into court and says, I'm just following the rules. Don't get mad at me. Saying the requested remedy, if you do this, would create chaos in all 64 counties. Like, you can't decommission these machines. That's insane. We're in the middle of an election. And by the way, Your Honor, we don't even believe the court has the authority to even tell us to not use the machines. Wow. You can't even tell us to stop using them. We're going to use them whether you like it or not. Now they're saying that the Libertarian Party, they didn't even test the components, Your Honor, after this brief. So they don't even know what they're talking about, okay? They didn't even look at the machines. They didn't touch them. So they have no personal knowledge of the machines. The machines are fine. And by the way, Your Honor, we're asking this court to find that you lack jurisdiction over this case, all right? You shouldn't even be hearing this case. They filed it illegally. They don't have a standing. They don't have whatever it was. You don't have jurisdiction. So how about right now we just say you can't even hear this case? She says, no, we're going to decline that. I'm going to keep my jurisdiction, but we're going to make a record here. So we're going to go through the hearing today and we're going to keep the case. So the judge says, all right, we can begin. Libertarian Party, come on in here. Government, I'm not sure who this witness is. The petitioners, the Libertarian Party fielder, he calls Hannah Goodman. Hannah Goodman comes in. You promise to tell the truth, number two, tell God? I do. Miss Goodman, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? She says, sure. Yeah, I'm here today as a voter. I'm also a candidate for Colorado District 4. I'm also the chairman of the Libertarian Party. And the LPCO is running 24 candidates in this election for federal, state, and local offices all across Colorado. Goodman says, we spent a lot of time talking about candidate strategy and how we're going to execute the strategy. And so that's why I'm here. That's what we do. And the government says, okay, but Miss Goodman, you don't have any evidence of fraud, do you? Or personal knowledge of the breach that was exploited? And you also lost your prior election, didn't you? You did. Oh, no further questions. So let's say she has no knowledge, no personal knowledge, and she lost. Oh, so you're just mad because you lost, aren't you? You're biased. That's why you're here. Got it. Libertarians call Fielder calls Colonel Sean Smith, U.S. Air Force retired. He's sworn in. True soldier in God. You. Talking about October 23rd. This was the last day that Smith downloaded the voting systems inventory file from the Secretary of State website. So this guy is retired U.S. Air Force. Hey, can you tell me how you're involved in this case? He says, yeah, on October 23rd, I downloaded the file from Jenna's website. You did. How many times did you download that file from their website? Oh, gosh, I don't know, 30 to 40 times. Public data. And you were downloading this file prior to June? Yeah, I was. And when you download this file, Mr. Smith, can you tell me what format is it in? It's a PDF file. Oh, it is. And then what happened? They changed it to an Excel spreadsheet in August 2024. Okay. And then when I was downloading this again on October 24th, he says, I noticed hidden worksheets in the file. Smith described the file and the data that the fields included. He says, yeah, there was a whole column in there for the BIOS passwords. Do you have that file with you? Yeah, I have it right here on the hard drive. He says the file was saved. Did you look who opened the file or who owned the file? He says, yeah, I checked the properties. And what did it say? It said the file was saved by Edward Morgan on the 25th of June. Edward Morgan, the leaker? Busted. These are complete BIOS passwords for systems used both by Dominion and Clear Ballot. Wow. Testimony in court. These are complete BIOS passwords for systems used by both Dominion and Clear Ballot. So Smith is now stating his background. He says, yeah, I was retired Air Force. I used to test critical infrastructure for the DOD. I know what I'm talking about. So were you concerned when you saw this list of passwords in that spreadsheet? Objection! Your Honor, lack of foundation. He has no basis for being concerned. Your Honor, may we approach? They go up, they talk to the judge. Objection sustained. She says, fine, I'll lay some additional foundation now. He says, okay, when you were doing DOD critical infrastructure security testing, tell me about this. Tell me to do this. Tell me, what did you do here? Yeah, I did this and I secured that. And I know what 256 hashes and encryptions and seed phrases and all sorts of things. So then they move to admit Smith as an expert. Your Honor, clearly he's qualified. He worked for the DOD. They say, Your Honor, we'd like to voir dire him and ask him some questions. Judge allows it. So the Attorney General comes in to help Jenna's office out. The Attorney General says, Mr. Smith, have you ever testified as an expert on electromechanical voting systems in Colorado? He says, what? There aren't electromechanical voting systems in Colorado. So I don't know what you're talking about. Galleries, what a doofus. The court says, hey, stop laughing at our useless government. Says, I've heard laughs 3 times. One more time from laughing at Jenna's office, and the court's going to clear the gallery. Judge is angry. Electromechanical, get a load of that guy. All right, then voir dire is completed. And they say, Your Honor, he doesn't know anything about electromechanical voting machines, obviously. We move to object to allowing him to be an expert. Court says, obviously you guys are idiots, so I overrule that objection. There aren't any electromechanical voting machines, so Smith is now admitted as an expert. Galleries like high-fiving each other. Smith is now testifying about the impact of the BIOS passwords and the breach. He says what it allows a user to do. It does everything. You can change passwords, you can change the boot sequence, you can override passwords, you can add or remove users, etc. It's wild. Do whatever you want. He says there are an immense amount of attack vectors that will happen here. It's like wild. Immense amount of attack vectors. Then we have the thread dies. Oh, I know there's more to it because I was reading it. Where did it go? Let's see if we can pick it back up somewhere. And I'm pretty sure she started a second thread. I thought it was all in one. Let me see if I can find it. Apologies. Don't you hate when that happens? Let's see. Okay, maybe that's it. See if there's anything else. I don't know if it is still here. Let's see. Okay, so I guess we'll leave it there on the day. So good updates from Ash. And I don't know what happened to the rest of the thread, but we're left hanging on the edge of our seats, man. All right, so I guess that's what's happening in Colorado. Good update.